Hey guys, it's Grade. I got an update on my Queen of the Forest build. I've been having a lot of fun playing this, and I wanted to see if I can take the build from a Trial of Sekhemas build to an actual Simulacrum 4 and into a traditional mapping build. So I've been min-maxing and doing all this stuff, and I think I got it. This is really fun. I don't know if I could ever go back to playing like a normal movement speed build, but also 10 seconds of begging, right? So if you like my content and you've been finding my videos enjoyable, can you guys help me out? Hit subscribe. It would be really tight to, get monetized. But anyway, enough of that. So this is the build, right? I've got right around 2 million DPS with this setup, like 2.2 or something like that. And my move speed is 106% move speed. And mapping is a blast. It's fun to map, does good damage. Your pain offering is perfect. It's the perfect amount of damage to clear basically anything you need. Let's go through the build real quick, right? So this is what I have. I did quite a bit of min-maxing, trying to get like the perfect amount of rings. I have rarity on this ring. I'm trying to find one that has rarity here. But basically everything needs to have intelligence, right? As much intelligence as you can get. You're running Queen of the Forest. The Queen of the Forest that I have is 450 evasion. And then I'll go into, how much evasion or move speed you'll have with a 500. Actually, we'll do that right now. I have another Queen of the Forest here that's 500. So 500 move speed. Right, so with this build, we're running 101, 92% if you switch. So you're still running 92% with a generic, 100 Exalt Queen of the Forest. You're still at 92%, which is pretty respectable, pretty good. Right, if you're lucky enough to get this 450, I got this 450 for super cheap. Like 5 Divine, some guy posted it and he actually sold it to me, so great find. Right, you'll have 101. After you dodge roll, it puts you at 106. But yeah, so that's the chess piece. I've kind of talked about it before in the previous video, how it all works. But yeah, the things that you want are rings with evasion, right? I talked about how to get those before in the previous video. The other thing that I changed was this helmet. So because I have Subterfuge Mask, the previous helmet I had was a dexterity helm. Right? So I forgot. I think I sold it already. But it was basically a dexterity. It was an evasion rating helmet with energy shield. And if you add this evasion rating plus Subterfuge Mask, it's 366. Hold on, let's do it real quick. This is the importance of that Subterfuge Mask anointment. So 366, what's 138 times 2 plus 366? So 642 evasion rating with this, right? The Subterfuge Mask, that passive turns whatever energy shield on your helmet, multiplies it by 2 and turns it into evasion rating. So instead, I decided to get a straight up energy shield helm, 432. So this one actually gives me quite a bit more evasion rating. 437 times 2, 874 evasion rating because of the Subterfuge Mask passive. Well, I have it allocated on the tree. It's no longer on my amulet. I did a couple changes. I allocated dark entries here, and I actually just put points into Subterfuge Mask. I can't find a megalomaniac that has Subterfuge Mask and dark entries, because that's what I would do if I could, just to like save space. Somebody wants to buy something. Oh, nice. Okay, back to the gear. The hardest thing too is trying to find enough elemental resist on your rings with intelligence to get all your resistances maxed. So if we look at it, I only have 17 chaos resistance. So the way I avoid chaos is I just dodge and I move out of the way. But your dodge roll and speed is so good. It's so enjoyable. So much good quality of life. And everything else is pretty much for the most part maxed. Fire I could use like 76%, but whatever, it's 1%. The most expensive thing is the gloves. It's really hard finding good gloves. I got these with no elemental resistances on it just because everything else is filled out with all my other pieces. I'm sure if I could find one that was chaos that was under 5 divine, I would get it, but everything is so expensive. And right now, exalts are running for almost 800. Our divines are almost 800 exalts. It's crazy right now. But those are the big changes I made to the gear. Pure energy helm, right? And then just balancing the rings. so I can get more rarity and stuff. But anyway, let's look at the passive tree. I did make some changes from the old passive tree. The old passive tree path all the way up here, right, to get as much movement speed as possible. But instead now, I only go to right here. The Megalomaniac is still filling out careful consideration. And then instead now, I path all the way to Subterfuge Mask. I path over here so I can allocate dark entries. Because these nodes, if you go to dark entries, chaos damage, you don't really get anything out of it. So I decided to instead path here. So that way we can get some intelligence, some nodes, then more evasion rating and energy shield. And I also have a few more jewel sockets. And then I've taken these points for resistances for the minions. These guys. I have energy shield over here for more survivability. Because with this, I'm running about 9k energy shield with the Grim Feast on. If I wanted more DPS, like if I wasn't doing... right now, this build is kind of set up for Simulacrum +4. In order to do Simulacrum +4, you need to have the resistances for your minions. But if you weren't planning on doing any Simulacrum, you could just take these resistances off. You can take these energy shields off. And then you could put more points right here, following in here and getting more damage for your minions if you wanted to do that. But right now, with the way I have it, it's like the perfect amount. Perfect amount for smooth mapping. Trial of Sekhemas is great. You know, extra movement speed from there, from the relics. And then if I wanted to do Simulacrum +4, all I have to do is change my helmet and change my boots. So, right, this is the passive tree. Take a look at it one more time. These nodes right here, evasion shield plus evasion shield. Energy shield plus evasion rating. There's some evasion rating, energy shield nodes right here too, but I didn't take those. I had those in the beginning, but when I'm trying to min-max as much as possible, getting these, pathing right here to Subterfuge Mask was a way better deal. So I'm pretty happy with the way I have the passive tree set out. Right, here's the Heroic Tragedy. Turning CI into Black Scythe training so I can get more evasion. So let's look at what the evasion is without a Heroic Tragedy, right? If you really wanted to do this on a smaller budget, so I'm at 101.7. If I take the Heroic Tragedy off, right? Hold on, I have to allocate energy for my Wind Dancer. So without Wind Dancer stacks, we're at 45% movement speed without the Heroic Tragedy on. With full Wind Dancer stacks, we're at 75%. So you can still run around 75% and not pay the 40 divines that it costs to get this Heroic Tragedy. And it still feels pretty good at 75. Right, if you wanted to do this. And then maybe you could allocate some extra points somewhere else. But with this guy slotted in, you know, that 100% movement speed feels really nice. Feels really good. Right, so that's the movement speed with and without the Heroic Tragedy on there. And if you didn't have the Heroic Tragedy, and let's say you're running the 75% and you just wanted to do Trial of Sekhemas, you would be running Trial of Sekhema. If you had defensive relics like how I have my setup, you'd be running it with at least, you know, over 100 movement speed. So your Trial of Sekhema time for farming it as a minion build is still going to be around 20 minutes. Sub 20 minutes even if you do it fast without picking anything up. Okay, so we covered the gear. We went over the passive tree. Let's look at the minions. So the minions, right? For mapping, I have them at level 38. And if we look at the advanced info, well, usual jewels, right? Fork, Feeding Frenzy, Martial Tempo, Brutality, Heft. For these guys, 12k life. It's more than enough. And because they're level 38, they've got more armor, which is nice. Helps their survivability. The resistances are at 38. This is more than acceptable for mapping. And this is good enough for Simulacrum +4. Right, this is their movement speed. If you look at basic attack, they're at 40k DPS, just resting. Critical hit chance. I usually like having, 50% critical hit chance, but it's at 13.65 with Eye of Winter full 10 stacks. Let's see how much that is. 13.65 divided by 5. Then full stacks of Eye of Winter with base is 15. They're at 40%. That's good. 40%. We're doing some bossing. That's enough. I wish I had more critical damage bonus, but maybe I could, if I really wanted to, I could shift some points around from defensive stuff into offensive stuff to increase that. But if we look at their buffed DPS, right? I run around with 21 of them and a cleric. So let's say the cleric gets used for the pain offering. So this is mapping DPS. It's 109,751. What is that? 109,751 times 20 of them. 2.1 million. Around 2.2 million DPS. That's plenty. Like, when I was doing the breaches and stuff, rituals, or even just running around, that's perfectly acceptable. And then let me cover the build for Simulacrum. For Simulacrum +4, it is a little bit more challenging. It's more challenging than a normal deep full-on endgame DPS build. So the things I change, I get 1 extra level for my minions with my DPS helmet. And I put on the Bones of Valir. Right, so I can have more minions. It's funny too, because with the Bones of Valir, my resistances are still maxed. So I could even take these lightning resistance runes off slot, chaos runes, but whatever. So with Bones of Valir, this is how I run my Simulacrum. I run it with 4 clerics, so that way 2 of them get sacrificed, and there's still 2 around to heal. And then 25 snipers doing DPS. So with the level 39 snipers, right? Do this DPS calculation real quick. 125. They're around 3 million DPS. 125,756 times 25. 3.1 million. And it seems a little low, 3.1 million, but because these guys are level... What is it? Level 39. Their accuracy is 2,500. So that's a huge help. Because when I was doing the Arsonist video with level 34s with, even more DPS than this, I was still taking a long time to kill the waves because accuracy plays a big effect. So because their accuracy is so high, I mean, it's really consistent damage. So clearing Simulacrum is you just have to stay alive. Because the tricky part with Simulacrum now is that my Grim Feast is only 5k max, but it's totally doable. You just can't stand there. You definitely have to play speed to your advantage. And even with the Bones of Valir, your movement speed is 80%. 84, 85. That's with these boots. So pretty good. Not too bad. It does suck though if you don't have a Heroic Tragedy. If you don't have a Heroic Tragedy and you're trying to use those boots, we're moving. Let's see how fast we're going. So without stacks, hold on. Without stacks of Wind Dancer, we're doing 37%. Ew. You're basically playing at this speed. But with full stacks of Wind Dancer, we're at... There's 1 stack, 2, 3... 62% move speed. Without a Heroic Tragedy in there. I don't really recommend it. 62 is kind of... Well, I don't know. I don't know what it feels like to just... It's still good. It's better than, 35. But I feel like if you're moving like this, you're better off doing the leap and blink. But if you can get your hands on your move speed being around 80%, man, it's really hard to give it up. At least for me, it's pretty hard to give up having this movement speed now. I don't know how I'm gonna play the new league. I have no idea. No idea. But yeah, I'm gonna leave a link for the Maxroll if anyone wants to try this out. Try this movement speed build out. Like, I'm a big fan of it. It's pretty enjoyable. It's really fun. I'll show this build in action with the Simulacrum setup, starting from wave 10. And we're gonna do it. I'll show you a Trial of Sekhemas, and then mapping with a breach. It's really fun. I have a really good time playing this. Super fun. Okay, so here's a breach map. We got Slick. These are the mods. Rare monsters, 45%. A bunch of this ailment and build up stuff. So we'll map with the speed build. For the passives that I have for the breach passives, I usually have the ones where the density is thicker, but I changed it to, I forget what it's called, Sustained Siege or something. Just so that way we can have like a little more time, since we're not doing as much DPS as like a full DPS build. But as far as mapping goes, it's pretty good. I do like the fact that we're moving at 100 movement speed. So we can just kind of zoom around. You know, dodge roll around everything. If I do want to drag the minions, I have leap. So I could leap in. Then it just immediately dodge roll as soon as you land. And then you could spam it, you know. So it's not the same as the blink tech, but it's still good. You can see it's pretty comfortable. I don't know if it has something to do with the 94% evasion, but you know, it's a good time. I actually find this more enjoyable than my old build, just because I think I got spoiled playing that 300 movement speed build doing trials. That, like, I don't know if I can play. I don't know if I could go back to normal movement speed. Then you just throw in a pain offering whenever there's something big going on. It's definitely enough DPS, because the DPS is 2 million, right, with your pain offering up, and for mapping that's a lot. For Simulacrum, the setup that I have, I use a 3 million DPS setup, and you'll see it in the video. I thought it was like 2.5, but for Sim I have 3 million. And I just kind of roll through all the stuff. I'm just kind of like trying to find everything. Yeah, you don't really need to do the leap blink thing with this, since you're moving so fast. It's definitely, it's not as fast as like, oh, this is where I die, right? Nope. I wonder if the evasion helped out, because these guys are all melee. So here's the breach. Let's clear it out a little bit. Hit it. Pop it. All right, cast the pain offering. Yeah, this is the first time I've taken this move speed build out, so it seems perfectly fine. Like with Wind Dancer off, I don't know how much whatchamacallit I have. How much evasion? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I'll just dodge roll back. Things get spicy. Go back. It's kind of like kite them back to the minions. Yeah, so this is mapping with the build. It's definitely enough DPS. Throw a leap slam in there. There's a bunch of them. Some in the pain offering. Woo, it's packed. Jump in. It's pretty fun. So not bad for a movement speed minion build. It did take quite a bit of minion maxing though, and trying to like experiment. The only thing that the downside is I only have 10% chaos res, but you know, I mean, whatever. It seems to be perfectly fine. I should have looted as I was going along. I wasn't looting. So this is another thing, right? If I have to go back, it's not that big a deal. Man, it's really nice. Man, the next league is gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna have a really rough, really hard time playing the next league with like, oh, whatever that dog shit movement speed is. But this is good. I guess enjoy it while it lasts. The sad thing though, if you want to have like, you know, 7 million DPS, 6 million DPS, like really high DPS with movement speed as a minion build, you don't really have a choice. You have to go Temporalis. So quite a bit of investment. This is quite a bit more affordable. You do need to have, if you want this much defensive layers and this much DPS, you do need to have the heroic tragedy on, because the heroic tragedy gives me like, I want to say 30 extra movement speed. So if I take it off, I drop from 100 to 60, which is still pretty fast, right? Comparatively, it's still pretty fast. So if you wanted to play this with 60 movement speed, you totally could. Like, it's totally fine. But 100 movement speed, it's where it's at. There it is. So it's really fun. I'd recommend it if you didn't have anything to do, nothing better to do with your minions. You know, you have them at like a really high DPS and you wanted to try something new, something fun to make you know, just the feel, the overall feel of it, the quality of life feels really, really good. All right, wave 10. You hit this. This little small area is a lot more difficult than it is with a full on like DPS build. I actually have to like avoid stuff. And also the big thing too is you got to make sure your pain offering is up, since we're kind of really on the cusp of DPS. You see these guys taking damage. Like, it's pretty fun though. Like, I think right now the DPS, what is that? I heard something. Suffering. Our DPS is, I think, about 2.5 million, something like that. So we're really kind of on the cusp. The good thing is I managed to get these guys to level 39, so their accuracy is really high. So I don't have to worry about them just like whiffing for no reason. I did have to get a little bit of resistance though. I tried doing this with 0 res on these guys, and yeah, they die. They will die. I might even consider putting in 4 clerics, just because, or at least a minimum of 3 clerics. So, you know, there's a couple that are always up. Yeah, always gotta avoid getting hit too. Always gotta make sure your pain offering is up. That's like the most important thing, is the pain offering. Because if you don't have your pain offering up, it could go bad. I think I'm gonna put 4 in here, just so I don't have to worry about them. I don't have to worry about them like dying. Because their health I think is 13k. I usually have them at 15 for the DPS build, but for this it's kind of hard, because if you really want to have this move speed of 80% with the Boots of Valir on, you gotta have all those nodes for evasion. And I'll just throw these guys in there. It's definitely a more active, very active, very, very active Simulacrum run. It's not as AFK as it should be, but you know, if you want to play the move speed build, and if you want to see if the move speed build can handle it, well, we're about to find out. I've kind of min-maxed it pretty good though. I'm at about 5k Grim Feast on. It was hard for a while. I was having like 4k. That extra 1000 makes a big difference. It's funny too, because for some reason, even though I move faster, I seem to get hit by that jumping AoE more often. Just because, like, I don't know, they're like cutting me off or finding me or something. I don't know. And if I take damage, I end up 60% move speed. It's still pretty good. Okay. Do I need this? 50 spirit. That would be nice if it was like 600 energy shield. Wait, just maybe. Maybe we'll get a +5. Nope. Check this one. Nope. All right, wave 14. What is this? Monsters are evasive. So that'll kill you. Monsters are evasive if you don't have enough accuracy. Your DPS does take a pretty big hit. Like when I was doing my testing with the I forgot what video it was. The low level arsonist test. I was definitely having issues with accuracy because they were level even though their DPS was higher. Dang, these guys are out and about. Yeah, see, so I have to really like move around. Don't go into that laser. But I'm surprised though, you could do it. You can definitely run it. And my resistances aren't capped. My elemental resistances are capped, but my chaos resistance is only 10%. So the way I deal with chaos is I don't get hit. But this is basically it. You're basically race carring everywhere. And making sure your pain offering is up. Oh, am I dead? Are we dead? We're not dead. Throw some frisbees out. All right, homeboys. Home run. Home stretch. Nice. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. All that work for a closed helm. So for Trial of Sekhemas, here's my relic locker. I just have a bunch of these guys that are all increased quantity with increased defenses. The reason I have a maximum amount of increased defenses is because more defenses, more evasion, more move speed. So if you've seen the previous video, this is the exact same setup. And these 2x1s at 17 and 40, they don't cost that much. They're only 100 exalts, at least when I got them. So the best record I've had with the other build was 17 minutes. Let's go time it and see what we get. Okay, so we're usually at 150 in Trial of Sekhemas, but we got lucky and we got the +50 defenses. So now we're at 265. This is even without the urn. So we can get, with the urn, we're probably at like 290, something like that, 280. But this is with the +50 defenses boon from Balbala. We're at 265. So let's go see, let's go pick a decent one. Offers only one choice. We'll head down. Yeah, okay. So now we can rock a chip. So this is the fun part, right? We can do Trial of Sekhemas. We can do Chaos Trials. We can even do Simulacrum +4. But this is how crazy it is. Hey, Divine Orb. It's almost a little bit too fast sometimes. Okay. Let's keep going. Ritual, Chalice. Gonna try to finish this. Do this real quick. Run through here. It's almost like they have to spend time porting in. But it's so crazy. Okay. Roll right in. Clear that. You know, I think they fixed the weapon swapping ability. Because I notice now that whenever I weapon swap and the minions go away and then I go back, they're not on timer. So I wonder if they fixed that. Right? Like usually. Let's hope I didn't miss one. Did I miss one? I don't know if I missed one. So we are so fast. So we're at 16 minutes right now. So you're definitely running these under 20 minutes. Do the ritual. These are the best ones because they're the fastest. Maybe that might take a second for your minions to like lock on. But no big deal. Man, it's almost hard to like kind of make sense of what's happening. But if you want a fast time, the one downside is you can't really loot. And usually when you're farming Trial of Sekhemas, if you're doing this, you're trying to loot relics. Yeah, I just saw an exalted orb, but we're just gonna forget it. I mean, what's like 800 exalted orbs anyway. Double gauntlet, huh? Gauntlet cannot restore honor. I don't even know why I read it. Just gonna go through here. Down here. Flip the switch. You could use the ice wall tech, but I'm on controller, so the ice wall tech is kind of sketchy. Sometimes it's better to just go here and then like flip that switch and then just roll through. I've spent a lot of time just like messing around with trying to do the ice wall. Do another one. Oh no, I hit the switch. Oops. Yeah, so plenty of honor too. So we're at 17 minutes. My best for this was 1709. So you can see it's kind of like we're easily gonna get under 20 minutes for sure. Anything good? Nope. Go to Zarok. I do have a Mahawaddle in my second weapon. I didn't allocate minions though, so we're just gonna kill this guy. Oh no. My thing is on cooldown. That's the one thing that sucks is sometimes Pain Offering, if you do it too quick before your minions spawn, he doesn't your minions aren't fully spawned, so my Pain Offering will whiff. Where's the last one? Yeah, but it's super easy. So what is that? 1852? Yeah, get your 3. Get your chance at 3. 3 uniques.